So I am with Jason Henderson out of Las Vegas, right? Jason, best AC, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, good. And I think in starting this, what I'll say is, again, an incredible transaction. You were just so incredibly profitable. When we talk about EBITDA percentage of revenue, was probably one of the highest ones we'd ever taken care of. And kudos to you and the type of business you ran. And one of the things that I'll say, as a Proud Service Roundtable and Proud Service Nation Alliance member that you were, for those of you that are not in that space, I mean, for those of you that are part of SRT or SNA, reach out to Jason. I mean, you've always been incredibly generous with your time. Everybody has your cell phone. Give Jason a call. I mean, he'll talk you through anything. He is a wealth of information, built something absolutely incredible, stayed away from all the BS, right? Very easy with everything that's going on social media to get caught up in this one's doing that. Look at that shiny object. And, I should be doing this. But you stuck to your guns. And to that end, wound up being just a really, really good transaction, even from the buyer's perspective, right? They had a tremendous amount of respect for you and what you had built, you know. So the transaction closed, what, about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, November of 22. Yep, a year and a half ago.
November 22. So we're
Yep.
about a year and a half. So tell me what life has been like. So now we're a year and a half past, right? I'm seeing you a lot more. I saw the absolute gorgeous car that you had put together for yourself. Congratulations, by the way. Everybody should give themselves one of those post-transaction gifts. We absolutely love it. But tell me, so give me an idea what life's like. You went through a time period working with a partner, then you took a step back. Walk me through what all that looks like, because listen, everybody asks the same question, right? I do a deal, it gets done, they're throwing me out, they're not going to want me around anymore. Give us the insight.
Well, none of that really applied to me, none of the negative stuff. Everything's been, overwhelmingly positive. We closed at the end of 22, so it's been about a year and a half. And I worked directly with our partner, which was Turnpoint, as the brand leader there. And that was very fulfilling. I had a chance to continue working with my same team. There weren't a lot of changes like a lot of people were saying there would be. Everything was very smooth. The leadership of that group was amazing. And, we didn't have any real turnover, so everything kind of stayed the same. But I think a lot of it stayed the same because we were already so organized and our operations were the way that they needed to be. And so, of course, if that's the case, then why change anything,
Right.
The main things that we were able to bring on were some shared services that we kind of needed anyways. If anything, we went from being ultra profitable to, above and beyond, anyone else. And so, when I exited, we were at about 30% plus EBITDA. And, now, of course, the company will be higher than that. And so that's been great. And about 6 months ago, I kind of changed my role overall with the group and, started working on a lot of personal things, which, of course, once the transaction happens, we were already doing really well. But it's quite different when you have this windfall of, money to come through. And so a lot of things happen with that. We went through and upgraded our healthcare, we went through and upgraded our estate planning, our lawyers, our CPA, even started networking with different people and had access to different things that we didn't have before. So
Sure.
that was great. And, that was good advice because, of course, when you're working and grinding away, you don't really think about your healthcare much. And so that became a new focus. Okay, well, I need to take better care of myself. My wife needs to take better care of herself. And, as a family, we need to make sure that we're okay. And so we spent a lot of time doing that. Did a lot of traveling, so took several trips to Europe and, my wife had a chance to spend more time with her family and I had a chance to spend more time with my wife. And so, all of that ended up being great for us, made a lot of good investments. And so feel really good about that. And just overall, it's been great, really enjoying it. And of course, since I'm an entrepreneur by nature, and so is my wife, we started up a foundation. So we privately funded a foundation and there's a focus with that. We've done a lot of philanthropic things, donated to, homeless youth causes, kids that don't have enough money to get clothes and shoes and things like that, all the way to our foundation, the K&J Henderson Foundation, really focuses on, helping women that have been in, some type of abusive situation. And so, we're able to do a lot of those things. So that's been very fulfilling as well.
Wow. It's amazing that you've been able to take the victory, right, off of the business that you worked your ass off for and turn it into even that many more victories, right? And you've got your hands in just about everything. It's such a testament to what you have built there. And I think one of the things that I want to harp on, a lot of times folks think they get their transaction done and, oh my God, the whole team is walking and all these people are going to find out and everything gets worse. You were able to upgrade a lot of things for yourself personally. You were also able to upgrade a lot of things for the people that work for you as well, right? When a business grows, right, there are just so many more opportunities for everybody. And I think everybody kind of forgets that. One of the things I get asked, and trust me, I'll shut up in a second here. Oh my God, I'm going to have people that are going to leave. Guess what? Those people should have left before. You should have probably fired them from before, right? They're going to be made accountable maybe to a little bit different level than they were. But my God, if I'm going to make you more accountable, it's because you're going to wind up making more money, right? So you took all the best practices that you had created at your company, now merged up, right, with this big PE firm that had a whole other playbook for some best practices that were able to take you from one place right to the other. I don't remember what your revenue was before, right? And we don't have to discuss it. That's fine. I know that you were a pretty sizable company. How much did you grow in that year and a half from that year plus post transaction with all the new stuff that they brought in on a percentage wise, would you say?
We used to have really significant growth goals, and we still do, of course. The company still does, of course. There was a little bit of an economy shift and things like that. So I want to say that, although I haven't looked recently, I want to say it's probably up about 25% from where it was. And so it's still growing. We were growing in clips of, 30 to 50%, even 100%, year over year in some years. And so there's been a learning process, learning, a lot of the different best practices that they have, which are all great, and kind of being able to commingle those with what we were already doing. And the team, really being able to take those and run with it. So it's been great and positive.
But you get your business, you can grow it to a certain point, and you grow it through your enthusiasm, right? You pouring into your people every day. And oftentimes we see owners hit a wall, right? That wall could be, everybody, it's a little bit different. Like, put your running shoes on and go run as far as you can. You may hit a wall in a mile, 5 miles, 10. Some people can get to 25. And if every mile is $1 million, you hit a wall, but you start to need help, right? The smartest owners recognize, hey, my team and I are sophisticated enough to get ourselves to this point. To go from here and continue to grow, we need some help from some people a little bit more sophisticated than us. And in everything you just said, right? Upgraded the health and our health insurance, upgrade our lives. Our wives and I spent more time, spent more time with your wife and got involved. That's all kind of part of this. Like, I'm here, I've gotten to a point, I need help to get to whatever these next levels are, right? You're working out differently. You're looking at business differently. You leveled up. I know you joined like an entrepreneurial group out in Vegas. We've talked about it from before, done some really cool things there. You're seeing things differently than you had from before. You have to be open for it. You got to get to a place to be able to say, hey, I've gotten to this point on my everything that I put into this. Now let's see who will help me get to the next level. And it's funny is once you get open for that, how many hands come out to you to say, hey, let me show you this, let me show you that, right? So I run into this often when I have these conversations with these owners, right? Hey, I'm $5 million. I'm going to be 100 million. Like, I don't even know if you know what it goes through to get from 5 to 100. You're never going to get to 100. Not that I'm saying you won't. You'll get there more quickly, right? When you bring the partner in, that's going to help you leverage up and get economies of scale and get you there that much more quickly. And I talk to these guys multiple times per week because everything they see on Facebook says 100 milli, look at my car, look at my watch, look at the house that I'm building, 250, 500. I mean, look, how many guys truly have done that in our space? Like, it's a handful.
Yeah.
Like, and we can name probably the 10 of them. And after that, there really is nobody. Mm-hmm. Some people just have to get smart with what they're doing. There's a, I don't know, one of these entrepreneurial guys says, if you have net worth of 25 million a year, you could pretty much do anything you want. Maybe you're not buying a plane, and maybe you're not buying a boat. Maybe you're not buying some crazy luxury house, but My God, could you not go vacation in Aspen for the winter for the month of January and February for 50 grand? I mean, you can do so many different things. Is there really that big of a difference? Are you really going to get that nuts and risk everything to try and get that much bigger when you could get the help from somebody else in order to be able to go ahead and get there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to try to come across as trying to be modest, but you know, I've had help every step of the way, you know,
Right.
from my wife giving me her perspective and her take and inspiring different things that we implemented into the business to having one of the best, if not the best management team in the HVAC industry, to reaching out to other people that shared everything with me and being part of different groups. Like you mentioned S&A earlier, but there was also, Blue Collar Success Group was amazing. EGIA, some Nexstar stuff was amazing. Even, individuals, Ken Goodrich, different people that shared a lot of things
Oh
that
yeah.
I was able to just kind of take and run with. And, I think that was maybe one of the differentiators is you get a lot of this information in, but you don't necessarily do a lot with it. And in my case, I really want to do something with it every single time. Otherwise, I feel like I'm wasting my time. And if anything,
Sure.
it's worse off than we started. But then, of course, getting with Turnpoint and them showing us different things that they do and inspiring once again, something that we really wanted to get into. So we've never felt like, oh, here we go again. We have to do this now. And oh, no, oh, this actually works. Let's do it right now. And, that's always been the thing that we do. So yeah, now for me, like you mentioned in the beginning, I like to share everything. It's sort of like paying it forward in a way, but at the same time, I love the industry. The HVAC plumbing industry has been great to me. I love the people in it. I respect the people that have been successful, and I respect the people that are working on it. There's different phases to it. And, fortunately for me and my family, we were able to find that phase and really run with it faster than anyone else. And
Hmm.
that's a fun fact. I don't really get into social media. I actually don't even really observe it that often. I do look at it from time to time, but I don't get caught up in that. I'm not really concerned. Um, I mean, fun fact, as far as the Las Vegas area, I mean, we did have the best exit, personally. I didn't have any partners debt or, groups, that I needed to pay off or work with or do any of that stuff. I had my wife and I had my team, and that was it. And the only partner that I had was my wife, and that's because she's my partner in everything.
It's yeah. It's funny you said that the groups. I mean, I hear this now and I see it. These guys are giving away big chunks of their business, right? For some expert to come in and run their business for them. And I'm like scratching my head saying, what are you doing? Like you're going to have an exit somewhere down the road and you're going to write a pretty big check, significant check to somebody. And there's so much available and so many resources available for free. I would hate to think that all these people have not been able to figure some things out and that they're at a place of desperation where they have to give away a chunk of their business. There are so many affinity groups to be able to join. There are so many, hate to go back to Facebook, but communities where information is given out so freely. You're a resource. I'm a resource. You just said Ken Goodrich is a resource. Dave Geiger has been a resource. All
Yep.
these people that want to help and to give away this information so freely and what needs to happen, like just sit down and do a little bit of the work, do a little bit of the digging to be able to get there. I learned something years ago. I was working with these guys for quite some time, and they were probably 15 years younger than me, and they were all these internet marketers. And I remember I'd keep picking up the phone to ask them questions over, and it was, it'd be Friday at 7 o'clock, Saturday afternoon, as I'm sitting there putting ideas and things together, bouncing things off them. And one of them said to me, he goes, you could look all this up on Google or YouTube, right? And I didn't even realize it. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize the resource I had in front of me. Now, if I had chased all of these ideas and things down and then made a phone call and said, listen, I've been looking at this from all these different perspectives. I want to get yours on it. It's a whole different ball of wax. I think it's the point being is it's tough to understand why somebody would want to give up that big of a chunk of their business to be able to go ahead and do something. And some of these guys I'm hearing this about, these guys are north of 10 million in revenue. If you're at that place, why don't you go bring in a partner? Hire me. Let me go get your business sold. Let's get you a check. Get in with a real deal group who's going to take you to a whole nother level. It's mind
Yeah.
blowing to me.
And to each their own on that. There's some people that, once they get these synergies going with their, partners or groups that they're partnered up with, I mean, it works out really great for them. So I'm not
Sure.
saying that that's necessarily a negative thing. Um, some people, they they can actually work together, and now they create something amazing, something that's tremendous and huge. And, that goes really great for them. In our case, it just didn't work out that way. We were able to do it on our own. So it worked out really well for us,
Which gives
and
you, but it makes you rely on yourself, and it gives you some confidence knowing that, hey, when I ran up against something, I was able to figure it out through making phone calls, through doing the research, whatever it is. I want
yeah.
to walk back for something you had said a little bit ago that you got in 2023, 25% growth, right? Is
Yep.
that right? Okay.
Yep.
To put it in perspective, most people are going negative in 2023. Now, there's a lot behind it, right? Listen, you came off of 21 and 22 where replacements, where every manufacturer had a deal, a rebate, a 0% interest. Government had money growing on everybody's tree. They want to keep economy going. So let's make sure these installs continue to happen. The replacement sector was just out of this world. Then
Mhm.
23 comes, you'd be able to, interest rates go up. It's not as easy to get these things done as it was from before. You'd be able to go back to your basics with the business. So the fact that you were able to get 25% growth, right, with your partner, with Turnpoint, during a time period where people were dropping off by 10 or 20%. I just know it because we had a lot of deals at market. And listen, the numbers were falling off. It's hard for somebody to max a multiple or get top end of the range when their year is trending down right then and there. Got very interesting, and coming off of some of these highs of 21 and 22 were a little nutty as well. But I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago at one of the Service Nation groups, right, with some of their higher ups. And one of them said, we really sat down and took a look at these numbers as well. Let me tell you what we found. If you really take out 20, 21, and 22, aberration years, once in a lifetime, may never see this stuff again, really comp to 2019, 2023 was really up over 2019. Not by a lot, but generally speaking, it was in single digits, but it was still up. And I'm like, you know what? When you start to see it from that perspective, it's a little bit different, a little bit more positive. So now you've taken a step back, right? So now we're a year and a half in. What would you say, about 4 or 5 months ago, right? You took a step back in the organization, right? Let other people handle some responsibility. This has freed you up like it's nobody's business. So
Well, it's freed me up. It's
we're
made me busier than ever,
well, but that's not a choice, right?
out of choice, out of choice. And, every single step is, you get a lot of enjoyment, out of it. So, I've been working on starting up a couple different businesses, working on the foundation, our private foundation, getting ready to start up a garage door company, have a digital marketing company that's already up and running, and that's been great. So, you know, keeps me as busy as ever, along with going to support my wife playing tennis and doing things like that. So I'm staying very busy, but it's all enjoyable.
What about the golf clubs? Have you been picking those up as well so we can eventually go play?
I haven't. No, I just can't carve out an entire day to play golf. I love the idea of it. I have a golf cart, I had a golf membership, had all kinds of golf clubs and everything, and just still haven't even played golf once.
So I want to walk back. I want you to think about your busiest days at the office, right? The craziness, which, listen, when everybody starts up and is growing, those are some fun scenarios that you look back on and say, oh, that was phenomenal, right? But listen, with every one of those, there's the, oh my God, what am I still doing? So now we're past all of that now, right? Your days look a lot different. You're in command of your days. You're making decisions for yourself. The business is not dictating what you need to go ahead and do for the day. It's just a different way of looking at life, right? I mean, listen, I see what you're doing with the travel and obviously spending time with the family. It's just got to be like, do you ever pinch yourself and say, holy shit, I can't believe what the hell we built here? And now look at where we're at.
Yeah, I try to have gratitude towards it, consistently. It's hard, when you get to grinding away and doing different things, you sometimes forget or, just kind of put it to the side. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Everything's been amazing. Going through the transaction, working with you on the transaction couldn't have been smoother. And, dealing with different potential partners, that was all great. Everyone that I talked to was great. So we chose our partner because just so happened to like them the most, but
Right.
all of them were amazing. And so after that, everything's continued on, and uh, can't help but to be really grateful for it. If I wasn't, there'd be something wrong with me. I think between me and my family, we really discuss a lot of those things consistently. I have 4 kids. So, I work on talking to them about different values, and different gratitudes to have, and just different ways to live life. And so, I have to, do that as well, lead by example.
How old are your kids again?
20, 17, 11, and 7.
It's got to be the best feeling ever to be able to have the time available, right? To sit and have these conversations with your kids on a different level. I mean, you've got them from adults down to kids in a sense. I know my two daughters just came back from college last week. So they're here. My older one's going to go do an internship in another week and a half. My younger one will be here, intermittently through the summer. But to be able to have the time to be able to spend with them differently than I had from before, like you can't put a price. You can't put a price on that, right? At the end of the day, isn't it all about family? So you created an absolute windfall for yourself by working as hard as you did, and now you have all this to be able to share with your family and things you maybe have regretted not being able to do from before because listen, you had other responsibilities as well. Now the time is yours to do it as you please. It's I love it, and I know that you're in what you said. You're also smart enough to bring in people that are experts around you. It's so funny. Like again, probably a couple people every couple months that I talk to, like, yeah, we're going to handle and do our own transaction. Jason, you were one of the most profitable companies that we've ever dealt with, right? EBITDA down to how you ran your business lean, everything, and then some. Could you ever, as a service roundtable contractor of the year, right? What was that in 2021 or 2022?
I think 21.
21, because I remember being at that event with all the paintings and what have you,
Yeah.
right? Could you ever think of going through this transaction on your own without having somebody who has expertise in the space riding along with you to get it done? I can't.
No.
I see how much goes on. Go ahead. I'll let you
Look,
finish.
there's different experts out there, and maybe they have some expertise that I don't have. I definitely don't have it, but I also don't do my own taxes. I don't, file, I don't even create my own corporations. A lawyer does that. I didn't do my own estate planning. I'm not doing any of those things. I need an expert that really knows what they're doing. So that way I could say, well, here's what I'd like to do. And then they can talk to me about the things that are reality. They could talk to me about next steps. They can actually kind of lead the way because to be honest, I just don't have time for that. When I was working in the business, you know, I'm working every single day with my team. We're grinding away. And just to get through due diligence, on one of those things, it's a challenge, and getting everything organized in a way that will be digestible for the potential partner, is something that you lead me on, and you show me. And working with different members of your team, to get all of our numbers nice and clean, to get everything, again, just digestible for this, partner to work with. I wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have taken forever, either that or I would have just basically been so frustrated I would have just given up, so I had my team put together pretty much everything that you needed, so that we could give it to the potential buyers. And it was perfect. It was flawless. It was just the way that it needed to be. I didn't stress out about it even once. I think that the only things that I ever had to consider was, did I want to take this partner or not? Because every single person in our space, every group pretty much wanted to meet with us. And so which group do we want to go with? Who aligns best with what we want? Who's going to make sure that my team that I help create is, taken care of? All of those things. Those are the only considerations I had. But imagine if I had to, you know, figure out, what tax forms I needed to turn in, or, all of these different, like even the sim that you guys created, everything needed to be finding out what our exact EBITDA was. We knew what our net profit was, and we knew what some of our EBITDA was, but to really drill down and find it all out, that was something that you and your team did, and so that was
Well,
great for us.
well, we appreciate that, right? And it's funny. Keep saying it's funny. It is funny. Like I mean, like I talk to these. You are a company that's best in class, right?
Mhm.
Ken Goodrich, Dave Geiger, Wyatt Hepworth, the Ringy brothers, all these guys, Ishmael, best in class for what they do. And for as much as they've grown and as much as they have these phenomenal management teams and as profitable as they were and all the characteristics that go across these top teams, when it came to selling their business, they didn't handle it themselves. They knew I am amazing and an expert here in HVAC, plumbing, mechanical contracting, whatever it may be. I am not an expert in handling or doing private equity deals, especially when it's your own deal, right? Because the emotional roller, listen, no matter what, at the end of the day, there's an emotional roller coaster ride that goes along with it. Either I sit there as your buffer, or you go over every hump by yourself, wondering because you don't know what the next hump's going to have in store for you, you know? So again, I'll toot our own horn. Yes, they chose us to handle the transaction, but it always amazes me that these guys in this, $5 to $15 million range are going at it on their own. So they don't understand. It is either this process is going to be proactive, meaning you and I sit down, we take the time to put your numbers together, right? The process is very simple. You and I have a conversation. You give me some preliminary numbers. I give you an idea what the value of the business is. We have conversations about what your goals are to see if it's going to work or not, right? It works, great. You're my client. We take a deeper dive at everything to confirm our original conversation. And we say, on this date, here is EBITDA basically to the penny for the most part. Here's what we feel the valuation range is going to be at market. We make a determination at that point when we're going to go to market, get the rest of the materials together, and away we go. I'm oversimplifying this, by the way, but we're proactive. You were proactive. We have the numbers. The buyers know us. When we give them the numbers, they feel very comfortable bidding off what we've given them because we've handled so many successful transactions. I couldn't imagine, and I've heard the stories too. Hey, I'm talking with 3, 4, 5 different buyers. I get 3, 4, 5 different requests coming in at all times in different formats of different things that they need. It is now a second, third, fourth, fifth job for me and my team on top of running and managing my business, which is the most important thing, right? And by the way, it's the buyer that's telling them what their EBITDA is. It doesn't work like that. We tell them where things are at, right? You got to be proactive in your approach or you're going to get slammed, because at the end of the day, these are private equity deal makers. If they don't give you the fair market value or full market value or top end of the range, anything that they hold on to, it winds up being theirs somewhere down the road, times a multiple, because they didn't give it to you. So,
Right.
If you're going to work with an expert, right, in all these different phases of your life, this transaction you get to do one time. You're going to get one potentially really, really, really big check. Let's make sure it's the biggest check that we can get you. We hear about these athletes that are getting these ridiculous contracts, and we say, "Oh, that's crazy." Well, they understand that whatever it is, that contract at year 4 or 5 in the NFL, which is that monster one that they get to, then they get one time to carve that thing out and make it absolutely amazing. Let's make it as amazing as possible. So I appreciate your insight on that. So, year and a half passed. You got a lot on the plate. I know you started a new marketing company, which I hope people are reaching out to. Listen, if I could say this after knowing you for as many years that I have, what you say you do, there is no BS. You are humble, gracious. You have opened your phone for everybody to have any conversation in the world about anything. Hey, I got this question, that question. And you're always, hey, pretty level set. This is right. This is wrong. Here's how I did it. You're an adult, make your choice. I'm going to show you how I did it, type of thing. Right.
Yeah, I'm surprised that more people don't call. I do get phone calls on a regular basis, but I'm surprised more people don't because, or maybe it's again the social media thing where people get pumped up and they feel like they're going to get more value from someone that's pumping it up. But I'm just going to tell the truth. I mean, there's no reason not to. If someone calls me and they have a question, I'm going to tell them what I think. And, I'm going to give them a couple of different scenarios, not just the way that I would do it only, but maybe a few different ways that they could do it that might also help them, and I enjoy that. Why not? People did that for me. And so I enjoy doing that for them. And yeah, the same thing with like the digital marketing, same thing with, any other venture that I'm going to do. I've always focused on getting everything done in the way that it needed to get done, doing it the right way, not really cutting corners, doing things that, should be done when they should be done. And I just don't believe in cheating people or embellishing or being, even just a little bit dishonest. It's just better to just be straightforward, make things happen the way that it should happen. And you know what? The outcomes are going to be better than they were going to be anyways, because there's no bullshit.
Yep. It's easier to do it up front anyhow. Hey, here's what's up. Right. Then if everybody decides to move forward, they move forward, and we have an understanding, which leads me into what you were just talking about. You've got the new marketing company, and conceptually, I think it's amazing. And I've introduced you to several people because listen, I believe in you. I think you're fantastic. Your marketing company is doing, has the ability to basically do on a cost per acquisition basis, right? In a sense, a deal is sold. Okay, great. We're going to get a little piece off of the deal, and away we go. There's no CPL, so an owner then doesn't really have to concern themselves with, oh my God, and I have this marketing budget, on top of all that. You want to expand on that for a little bit?
Well, yeah, originally when we started up the company, and it's kind of a niche form of digital marketing. We don't do SEO, we don't do websites, we don't do any of those things that, a lot of other companies do. We're focused specifically on proximity marketing. But, ultimately, we don't charge a upfront monthly fee and then just you get what you get, or you hope that you get something, or, we're doing PPC and just skimming off the top and things like that. For what we do is we generate leads and we take a percentage of the revenue that's generated by those leads. That's it. There's no like, oh, well, you went out there, you went out to all of these calls, so we're going to charge you for all these calls, and you weren't able to perform properly on these
Right.
calls. But oh, well, you're going to have to pay for it. Or these calls were garbage, but we still have to charge you for them. We're not charging in that way. It's just strictly off of performance. So if we're not performing, we're not getting paid. If our company is not delivering what you need, then we're not getting paid because you're not getting paid.
Right.
And when we first started forming it, we were talking about all these different fees and of course, being a business person, I want my client to win. We want to win. We all want to do these things. But in order for that to be real, we can only take the money that we have earned. We can only charge for what we've actually given.
Sure.
Right. And so that's our methodology on that. That's our concept. And so fortunately, we've had quite a few people sign up, and I haven't even really put it out there, for people to sign up. I haven't marketed my marketing company. It's been passed around. Different people have heard about it, and they're interested in it. And it's very simple. It's very easy. And some people have decided that they can replace, they can allocate, a lot of their marketing budget directly towards that, which is great because it actually works out better for them.
It's
In my
listen, it's commission based.
Yep, that's
If nothing
it.
happens, you don't pay. Right.
Yeah, it's like if you have a bunch of technicians and you're paying them all hourly, maybe they perform, maybe they don't, maybe you make money, maybe you don't. But if you have them all on commission, then you're only paying them exactly what they earned. And that's exactly what we do here. And I was a technician. I was a technician for years, right? And I was straight commission, and I only got paid what I earned. And so I'm used to that. I'm going to perform. My team's going to perform. My partners, one of them, he still works for the Department of Defense, and he's done a lot of different things. He's worked for Lockheed Martin, and he's still active. Another one of my partners is an SEO and website expert, but we don't do SEO or websites. It's just not something that we want to do. There's a lot of really great companies that are doing that already.
Sure.
And those companies should do that. We don't want to spend a lot of time on that. We want to focus on exactly what we focus on, so that way it actually performs the way that it needs to. We don't put anything on autopilot. We're not making updates once a month. We're making updates almost every single day. We have a pretty large team. There's 15 people on the team now, and they're making consistent updates every day.
It's awesome. It
Yeah.
really is. Couldn't be happier for your success.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything you want, you're very welcome. Anything that you can think of that you points or anything you want to get across. Your year and a half past, right? You went through it all. You start really. I know your story. Started from the bottom, worked to the top, built an incredibly successful business, right? You're out spending more time with your family. You're doing all the things that you wanted to do. When you set your dream board up or your goals up, right? For the most part, it seems like you achieved a whole lot of them. You're past it all. Like that's in the rearview mirror, and now you're moving forward. What advice would you give back to anybody who's listening to this now?
I think, going through the transaction, it was a little intimidating because basically, like you mentioned, I started from the bottom. We started our company from scratch, just my wife and I, and we hired some team members, and we sold it in 5 years and 3 months, from scratch to 5 years and 3 months. There were a lot of things that happened during that time. There was a lot of learning that I needed to do, a lot of developing that I needed to do, a lot of developing that my team needed to do. And so I went from being a technician that had no business experience to learning how to run my business, finally figuring out the operations and what we needed to do. And then I'm getting ready to go through this new transition, this new doorway that I'm going to walk through, which is going from being a now business owner to a person that, is a high net worth, wealthy individual. That can, I'm just saying, like, by definition, right? To be able to do anything that I want.
I
And
love it.
what do I know about that? I don't know anything about that. And so I was able to reach out to a lot of people and start to learn about that. And so when you go through that transition, um, you don't have to get help, like just like a lot of business owners don't get help, and they just kind of do whatever they're going to do. And some of them are successful, some of them not so much. In my case, I want to try to line it up the way that I can. And so reached out to a lot of people, joined some groups, but I will say, upgrading your healthcare, your legal team, your accounting team, your, just your network in general is critically important. You could call me, you can call probably anyone that's in the industry, but a lot of people that I call nowadays, they're completely outside of the industry. They've never been in our industry at all.
Sure.
And it's interesting because you get a new perspective. It's good to expand and take on a challenge. Of course, allow yourself some time to be able to spend some time with your family. I think that's really important. Make sure that you get your estate planning set up. All of those things, and then stay humble, if you can, and there's nothing wrong with going out there and, balling out, if that's what you want to do. But, make sure that you didn't do it all for nothing.
Right.
You want to go out and blow it all. Next thing you don't have anything. Go out, have fun, make sure that your investments are set up, get with people that have your best interests in mind, and just roll with that. A lot of the people that I talk to, they're not selling me anything, right? And they could sell me just about anything because they're just
Hmm.
what they do. But I'm interested in learning from them, and they in turn get a chance to learn some things from me. So I think that that's one of the most critical things you could do when going through this transition. I think, of course, from the very beginning, you want to make sure you have a successful um, deal. So I've always said, whenever anyone asks me, and it's not just because you're here on the Zoom meeting with me, it's not even because we're, friends, they have to call you. Like, who else are they going to call? What are they going to do? Who are they going to reach out to? Again, if some people already have the ability, like they're experts in it, and that's what they've always done, then great, they should do it on their own. But I don't think that 99% of the tradesmen out here have ever,
Agreed.
done any mergers and acquisitions from this side. Maybe they bought a company, but they haven't necessarily ever sold their company. And so
Hmm.
why not go with an expert? Again, I don't do my own taxes. I'm not doing any of that stuff. That's not for me to do. Right.
Yeah,
So
I
it's so important.
and I appreciate that. When and people feel, if I'm calling Brian over at SF&P, it means I'm selling. Doesn't mean you're selling. It means we're having a conversation about what your goals are. Let's get an idea of what your business is worth. You're either pretty close to your goals, maybe you've already exceeded them, or they're ways off. Whatever that scenario looks like, just like listen, we know everybody in the industry. If
Yeah.
there's somebody that I think that you'd be a good fit for to help you get from point A to point B, here you go. Go have a conversation with them, right? When I talk to somebody and we talk about what their goals are, and I say, listen, either the check you're going to get is going to get you is needs to get you to your definition of what your promised land is. Maybe that's retired altogether. Maybe you're buying yourself time to figure out what your next thing is going to wind up being. You've got investments, you've got things that are paying you off already. Okay, this check is another part of the portfolio. Like, how are you seeing it? And then we can help you at least give you the information, arm you to make the best decision possible for whatever that looks like, right? And look, some people are, I need to get 20 million out of my deal. I need to grow my business this much more. Or maybe you need to put the right partner in place, right? And look for what the next bite of the apple might wind up being. There's so many different ways of looking at it. You can never be too early calling me. Listen, through you, believe it or not, let me give you some credit here because I watch how you talk with everybody and you treat everybody the same way. I remember early on in my career with SF&P, I'd have some conversation with some guys that were smaller and they would take up the most amount of time off with a call, right? I remember I'm like, I got to get to the big guy, got to get to the big guy. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, right, and in meeting all these people and then meeting you a number of years ago started shifting how I looked at this too. Man, they're asking for help. They got a question. And the smaller guy today becomes the bigger guy tomorrow. And they appreciate the fact that I spent the time with them when I didn't have to, right? Okay, great. If there's, what can we do to help you out to get to where you want to wind up going? I can't tell you how many calls I get back that come off of that years down the road. Hey, you spent all this time with me. You got me over this information. You introduced us to these people. Let's have a deeper conversation. Appreciate what you did. You're never too early to ask. You can really only be too late.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really important too. So that's even before you figure out who you're going to work with to sell your business.
Yep.
You have these goals, and like I reached out to you a year and a half before we sold.
Yep.
Lou Habaika sold his business. He's a friend of mine, and he talked to me about it, and it made complete sense. So I just reached out to you. Hey, you gave me a conservative valuation. It was super low because we were just kind of getting going.
Right.
And oddly enough, when I say, getting going, it was a year and a half later that we sold. But that was because every single clip of growth was substantial. In the meantime, even though we weren't ready to sell, we had all of our numbers set up by you guys every single month for 18 months. We started having strategic conversations, a year before we sold. And so if for instance, if I'm at, let's just say, I don't know, let's say $2 million EBITDA, right? Just as a number. If I'm at $2 million EBITDA, which is great, that's great.
Yep.
If I'm at $2 million EBITDA, but I want to get to $4 million EBITDA, so in other words, double my EBITDA in the next year, or a year and a half, or maybe 2 years, let's say, however long it takes a normal business.
Easy for you, right?
Yeah. However long it takes a normal business to do it, right? Well, you got to 2 million and it took you X amount of years, maybe 10 years to do it. How are you going to just make that leap in a year? It's not going to be based off of the things that you've always done, right? It's going to be off of maybe doing the things you've always done better, maybe doing some new things, maybe adding better performance, maybe better marketing, maybe even just looking at your overhead in some cases, right? Looking at your pay structure, your performance pay, your pricing, whatever it is. But you need to bounce that off of somebody, or at least for me, that's what I needed. I needed to hear what people are doing, see what people are doing, learn what people are doing, and most of all, do it.
Yep.
Right. And so that's why I say, I'm just surprised that people don't call more frequently, because I think a lot of people have the idea of maybe they want to sell their business. Some of them might say they don't want to. Who knows? And that's okay. If they don't want to, then you still want to be more profitable. You still probably want to make more money, or at least you want to make your operations, a little more crisp so that it's easier to work at, any of those things. Towards the end of, before I sold again, 5 years, 3 months, I was there every day, hanging out with all of my managers, joking around, buying lunch, doing these things, but I didn't have to do the day-to-day finding things that I was doing towards the beginning, because we were able to build out all those processes. We were able to have a team to do it all. And, so that becomes easier for me. So I could have continued to just run my business, still made plenty of money. It's not like we were broke. We were making money, right? And so all I'm saying is, that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people do need to do. They need to, whether they're looking at the social media groups, which, there's a lot of great information in a lot of those different groups, whether they're Googling stuff, like you said, or joining larger networking groups, or getting direct coaching, or, any of those things, or even just picking someone's brain. There's a ton of value to that, right? Getting with you to kind of form that goal and say, okay, well, look, I don't know, I want $50 million, let's say. Okay, well, in order to get to $50 million, you have to do this to even kind of get in that ballpark, right? Because you worked with me and you gave me a conservative valuation. You gave me conservative multiples. Well, we smashed that. We smashed all of that, right? We didn't even really need to create a huge bidding war or any of that. It was just what we were doing was so straightforward. It was just undeniable, right?
Yep.
So they ended up getting me and my team and, my company, my family's company. And, that ended up working out. I always say, we owe you a lot for helping that happen. We owe our management team for helping that to happen. We owe everybody, everyone helped make that happen. It wasn't just us. We take some credit for doing the work, right? But we wouldn't even have known what we were supposed to do if it wasn't for all the great people around helping us figure that out.
Well, there's your point, right? You're smart enough to know what you knew, and for the things you didn't, you brought in the best in class to help you get from where you were to where you wanted to go. It's do me a favor, if you're okay with it, by the way. What's the best phone number? Jason, I got questions for you. Heard the podcast, heard a lot of great things about you. Want to talk about my business, get some advice or your opinion on something. Want to talk about what you're doing with the new marketing company. I've got some ideas on this too. What's the best way for somebody to go ahead and reach you?
They just have to text me. It's just super easy. My phone number is 702-499-3473. The reason why it's good to text me is because I do get text message and phone calls all day, but I do always
That's
reach back
fine.
out. I do always reach back out. I do always want to have a conversation. I'm not buying anyone's business,
Right.
right? I'm not buying anyone's business, and I'm not trying to get anybody to sell their own business either. There's really nothing behind it other than, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with someone that's trying to do better. And even if you're a company that's doing really great, we can have a conversation. It's just interesting for me. If anything, I might learn something from them.
Sure.
I definitely don't know it all, far from that, but I definitely know what I know. And so I'm happy to share that.
Well, I appreciate that. Obviously, appreciate you, the friendship, all the good stuff we've developed over the years.
Yeah.
Keep kicking ass. And thank you very much, obviously, for the time today. Give your lovely wife a hello. Have a fantastic week. And I look forward I don't know, what's the next event I'm going to see at?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll mesh fall schedules coming up shortly. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate
You're
it.
very, you're very welcome.